As late as the fall semester of my senior year, I can remember commenting to a friend, "I don't feel like Taft is my school. It's just a place where I take classes, but I don't feel any special connection to this place. I've never been to a Dress to Impress or Super Sunday. I'm a member of only a few clubs, and I rarely stay later than 6:30 if I can help it. All I've ever done for my ex is theater. But I have no regrets about the way I've spent my 4 years at Taft, the activities I've been involved in, or the people who are my friends. And yet, the fact that graduation looms on the horizon and that a future without Taft is imminent, my feelings on this subject have recently changed. I now understand why many of my friends call Taft home, and I've begun sharing this sentiment with them. The spaces where I've spent much of my Taft life recall fond memories. Some places stand out distinctly in my mind, and I want to use them today to tell the story of my Taft experience. To begin our tour of my Taft, we arrive at the Day Student Lounge. Most of my free time during the day and afterwards has been spent in this small room with a very distinct aroma. This place has formed the foundation of my Taft experience, as it has been a constant throughout my 4 years here. More than the yellow walls and ramshackle array of furniture, the people who join me in this space have been integral parts of my Taft experience. Within this room, I have built many of my strongest friendships, debated a wide variety of topics, or just simply passed the time with jokes and word games. Over the years, I have openly shared many stories of my life and sought advice in times of difficulty. More than anywhere at Taft, the DSL has witnessed my growth from a quiet, unassuming, and studious adolescent into an extroverted, borderline unbearable, yet hopefully entertaining senior. As I reflect on my transformation, one story in particular comes to mind. Midway through my first year at Taft, I was only beginning to get the hang of making friends. I realized that my best strategy to win people's affections was to be generous in my use of compliments. "What a nice shirt. Your hair looks so lovely today. You always look great." And this method was quite successful, until one day when an unsuspecting Sarah Denning entered the room. Upon seeing her, I thought, "Wow, Sarah looks so nice today, but she's not really wearing any makeup or making any real attempt to look this nice. She just has natural beauty." I was sure that she would be delighted to know that I appreciated these details of her appearance. But I needed a more concise way of sharing all this information. And then it came to me. A single word which, I thought, would express all these thoughts in one. I would make her day, but also show off my sophisticated vocabulary. I approached, cleared my throat, and declared, "Wow, Sarah, you look so homely today." Yes, it was only then that I actually learned the correct definition of that word. But despite far too many, and I mean far too many, unfortunate moments like this one, my fellow DSLers have always accepted my unique personality, and I hope benefited because of it. But that's enough of the DSL. Let's continue on the tour. Now we arrive at a place where I have enjoyed countless hours at Taft. Wait. Does anybody know where that is? Next slide? Okay, much better. Whew. That was scary. Bingham Auditorium and the Woodward Black Box Theater. The Taft Theater program has been a constant also over my 4 years. In these two spaces, I have developed a love for acting and creating memorable performances, and I have assumed a variety of characters, from a money-laundering busway from Norway, to a butler and manservant, a personal assistant turned opera singer, to an enchanted flamboyant candelabra with an endearing French accent. From the moment freshman year when Mr. Doyle came to me and said, "I'm doing this show, and you should come try out," I've spent many afternoons and lengthy production weeks on these stages. Before Taft, I didn't realize my passion for this craft, but under the guidance of the very talented Mr. Doyle and Mrs. Pfeiffer, and with the often humbling contributions of fellow performers, I have had some of my best memories during rehearsals and performances on stage in these two theaters. All right, now let's go outdoors to the final stop on our tour. Far removed from, yet closely linked to Taft's hallowed halls, our school's founder peacefully lies in his final resting place, accompanied by his wife Winifred and best friend Harley Fish Roberts. To many of you, this might be a very morbid place to end our exploration of my Taft. But this year especially, I have found solace when visiting Mr. Taft's grave. During my walks around our scenic campus, across playing fields, and down through the cemetery en route to visit this site, I have been able to reflect on the circumstances of my life, trivial or significant, and returned refreshed and renewed. I also find that standing in the presence of Mr. Taft puts my 4 years here in perspective. When I consider the birth date engraved on this stone, December 28, 1861, I come to realize the enduring legacy of Horace Dutton Taft and his school. I am amazed to think that when Mr. Taft died in 1943, few people today at Taft had even been born. This fact makes me imagine the long history of our beloved school. For over 100 years, learning and interactions of all sorts have taken place here. Consider the thousands of students, like us, who have contributed to this community with their intelligence, wit, and creativity. While these same scholars strolled down Main Hall or sat in the very seats you occupy now, our school and the world around it were so different and changing. We embrace this legacy when we enroll at Taft. And when I stand and survey this site, I cannot help but be appreciative of the mark that this institution has left on me. For better or for worse, my time here has transformed me into who I am today, and has allowed me to discover the truth of my inner self. I would like to take this moment now to express my deep gratitude to all of you who have made this experience so incredible. If I were to acknowledge each person individually, we would certainly run over time. Instead, I will thank groups of important people who have affected me during my career, Taft career. First off, thank you to Sarah Nyquist, Kathy Chen, Mr. Kiewit, and Blake Joblin for helping me put this all together. Thank you to my friends. Many times you have been frustrated with my ceaseless energy and peculiar antics, but you have also been there to lend me the support, encouragement, and advice that I've desperately needed. I will miss you the most next year. And although I am still having trouble coming to grips with the reality that we will be separated in such a short time, I know that each of you will only be one text or wall post away. Thank you to the extraordinary faculty of the Taft School. Your dedication and knowledge are blessings to all of us. You have acted as my guides, critics, and friends, and always have gone above and beyond to take personal interest in my education and well-being. Thank you to my effervescent advisor, Ms. Chick. There could be no better match of an advisor for me. Over our 4 years together, you have always helped me make sense of this complicated Taft world. You have encouraged my passions and pursuits and forced me to think outside my limited window to the world. We have shared countless laughs. You can feel free to demonstrate now. There we go. Huh. We have shared countless laughs, and through it all, I knew I always had someone to confide in. I really can't imagine my life without you. Thank you to the staff who labor tirelessly behind the scenes and keep our school the inviting place many of us call home. Whether you cook, clean, serve, plant, or keep us safe, we would be nothing without you. We rarely stop to acknowledge how much you contribute to our lives, so please know that we do appreciate your commitment to our comfort and happiness. Finally, thank you, Taft School. Enrolling here was a special dream of mine, and now my time is coming to an end. These past 4 years have changed my life. for Taft has given me opportunities I could never have believed possible. Whether it has been directing a play, conducting the orchestra, leading opera trips, engaging in intellectual discussions, or the many, numerous other experiences of my Taft career, I cannot imagine a more rewarding high school experience. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alex Lewis, and I'm a two-year senior. For those of you who don't know me, I'm from the great state of New Jersey. Not the Jersey Shore part of Jersey, but the mountains and farmlands and a 15-minute drive to get just about anywhere part of Jersey. I also love fighting. Not real fighting, but just sitting around with a few people and tossing around the old intellectual stick. Not much is more enticing to me than a battle of wits. And I get especially excited when the conversation heats up and I start talking with an accent for a second or two. When I first came to Taft, the hardest thing to adjust to was a New England sense of humor. Did I mention I'm from the middle of nowhere part of New Jersey? Anyway, I remember the beginning of my junior year here vividly. I was painstakingly behind on prep talk. The August before attending Taft, I went to Panama with the girls' soccer team. I remember thinking I would never survive 2 years at a school where people said presh instead of precious, totes instead of totally, and used like after like every 3 words or something. By the way, GVS, can I get a little snaps? I remember Bololo having to teach me what it meant when someone said, "What's good?" I understand it now, but I still can't say it without feeling as though I sound like a total square. I remember having to ask my roommate to define just about every word in any given hip-hop song she played. By the way, Lexi, is it cuffing season yet? I still don't know when that is. I was convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt for the majority of my junior year here that I would single-handedly bring groovy back as a common slang term. Ask anyone, it was a dream I would not let die. Trust me when I say that's not even the extent of how not with it I was. And for those of you who haven't lived with me for the past 2 years, I feel close enough with you now to inform you that my room is a complete and total disaster. I'm not going to try and hide it. It's a horrible mess, and I should be ashamed of myself. The most miserable aspect of my Taft life is having to return to a room that's not clean. Actually, the bigger picture problem is that I really hate doing laundry. In fact, I'd like to correct my earlier statement and assert that there's no activity at Taft more torturous than laundry. If I had a washer and dryer in my room, maybe I'd never have an issue with doing laundry or keeping my room clean. I'm almost 97% positive that my room would be practically spotless. But it's also the fact that whenever I want to do laundry, which is, to be clear, I never want to do laundry, but whenever I have to do laundry, I always have to be really time efficient because there are always these 3 other people who need to do it exactly the same moment that I do, and I have to really rush so that my clothes don't get sopping and wet because someone decided to throw them on top of the dryer. I really hate laundry. I also really hate folding. But other than that, I think I'll make a great housewife. Shout out to my first semester Freeman English class. I know they're still trying to get their heads around that one. Coming to Taft as a junior was really hard for me. Taft was a huge academic, athletic, and mental jump. I used to be able to juggle a high school sport, the school play, a club soccer team, all honors classes, and participate in various clubs every single school season. And I still managed to get to bed by midnight, which never happens here. I don't think I ever fully digested the reality that there's just not enough hours in the day to do everything you'd like to do if you want to pass your classes at Taft. I've always made time to do impulsive stuff, like sit in on a French play, even though I don't speak the language. I think a big part of who I am at Taft has a lot to do with how I grew up. My mom died of cancer when I was 5. My dad remarried when I was 9 and got divorced when I was 13. I've transferred to a total of 7 schools throughout my academic career. Oh, I lost my place. And as time goes on, I've gotten better at integrating, but it's important while you're at Taft to make sure that you do anything you suspect you might be interested in. Use your time wisely. That said, the majority of my time at Taft is spent in the jig. On any given week, I probably spend more time there than I do awake in my room. I pray you to not follow my example. Being a jig rat is an unhealthy obsession. If you do find yourself being drawn to the jig every time you have a paper to write or you have 15 minutes to kill before your next class, you should know that pretty much every good thing that's happened to me at Taft has been birthed because of the people who go to or who went to the jig. Shout out to Taft Scrabble Club. Even though I can now spout about 15 different versions of bro at the drop of a hat, you know, Brohammad Ali, Brotosaurus, Bromeister, David Broey, at least 10 of the top 50 ghetto names, Bonquiqui, Obamaniqua, United States of Americaniqua, Courtney, or add sauce to just about anything. Bro sauce, ox sauce, dank sauce, duck sauce with my Chinese food. Really good, you should try it. You'll still hear me proclaim that I'm super jazzed about seeing the play this coming Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. That's not an advertising plug. I literally go to the plays every single night. I still eat cherry tomatoes by the handful. I still refuse to carry my phone on me. I still eat really gross food combinations. I still talk way too fast. I still really hate houseflies. I still love salt and vinegar chips despite a year of rigorous oppression. I still insist on getting up at irregular times like 7:43 because normal, concise numbers freak me out. I still eat at least one meal a day by myself, and I still managed to get into college even though I wrote my primary essay on nose picking. It's a lot. I love Taft, I'm really sad to have to go, but in general, I know the whole be yourself bit is pretty much a load of crap, but honestly, if you do what's right, and you do what you want to do, and you generally don't care what anyone has to say about it, you'll probably end up being much more content when you find yourself confronting mortality or whatever it is you do late at night when the internet shuts off. Thank you.